So this is extract 19 of Terry Pratchett's Truckers. There turned out to be 28. Not enough, said Grimmer. It's a start, said Masklin. I think there'll be more by and by, but they all need to be taught to read. Not well, but enough. And then 5 of the best of them must be taught how to teach people how to read. How did you work that out, said Grimmer. The thing told me, said Masklin. It's something called critical path analysis. It means there's always something you should have done first. For example, if you want to build a house, you need to know how to make bricks. And before you can make bricks, you need to know what kind of clay to use and so on. What's clay? I don't know. What are bricks? Oh, I'm not sure. Well, what's a house then? She demanded. I haven't quite worked that out either, said Masklin, but anyway, it's all very important. Critical path analysis. And there's something else called progress chasing. What's that? I think it means shouting at people. Why haven't you done that yet, etc. Masklin looked down at his feet. I think we can get Granny Morky to do that, he said. I don't reckon she'll be interested in learning to read, but she sure knows how to shout. What about me? I want you to learn to read even more. Why? Because we need to learn how to think, said Masklin. I know how to think. I don't know, said Masklin. I mean, yes, you do, but there's some things we can't think because we just don't know the words. Like the store gnomes. They don't even know what the wind and rain are really like. I know. And I tried to tell the Baroness about snow and... Masklin nodded. There you are then. They don't know. And they don't even know that they don't know. What is it that we don't know? We ought to read everything that we can. Gerda doesn't like it. He says only the stationary should read. But the trouble is, they don't try to understand things. Gerda had been furious. Reading, he'd said. Every stupid gnome coming up here and reading all the printing out without looking at it. Why don't you give away all our skills while you're about it? Why don't we teach everyone to write, eh? We can do that later, said Masklin mildly. What? It wasn't so important, you see. Gerda thumped the wall. Why, in the name of Arnold Brothers, established 1905, didn't you ask my permission first? Would you have given it? No. That's why, you see, said Masklin. When I said I'd help you, I didn't expect this, shouted Gerda. Nor did I, snapped Masklin. The new abbot paused. What do you mean? He said. I thought you'd help, said Masklin, simply. Gerda sagged. All right, he said. You know I can't forbid it now, not in front of everyone. Do whatever is necessary. Take whatever people you must. Good, said Masklin. When can you start? Me? But you said yourself that you're the best reader. Well, yes, of course, this is the case, but good. They grew used to that word, later. Masklin developed a way of saying it that indicated that everything was all sorted out and there was no point in saying anything more. Gerda waved his hands around wildly. What do you want me to do? He said. How many books are there? Said Masklin. Hundreds. Thousands! Do you know what they're all about? Gerda looked at him blankly. Do you know what you're saying? He said. No, but I want to find out. They're about everything. You'd never believe it. They're full of words even I don't understand. Can you find a book which tells you how to understand words that you don't understand? Said Masklin. This is critical path analysis, he thought. Gosh, I'm doing it without thinking. Gerda hesitated. It's an intriguing thought, he said. I want to find out everything about lorries and electricity and food, said Masklin, and then I want you to find a book about, well, Masklin looked desperate. Is there a book that tells you how gnomes can drive a lorry built for humans? He said. Don't you know? Not exactly. I was sort of hoping that we could work it out as we went along. But you said all we needed to do was learn the highway code. Yeah, said Masklin uncertainly. And it says you have to know the highway code before you can drive, but somehow I get the feeling that it might not be as simple as that. Bargains galore, preserve us. I hope so, said Masklin. I really do. And then it was time to put it all to the test. It was cold in the lorry nest and stank of oil. It was also a long way to the ground, and if they fell off the girder, Masklin tried not to look down. There was a lorry below them. It looked much bigger indoors, huge, red, and terrible in the gloom. This is about far enough, he said. We're right over the sticking out bit where the driver sits. The cab, says Angelo. Right, the cab. Angelo had been surprised. He'd turned up in the stationery department, breathing heavily, his face red, and demanding to be taught how to read, so he could learn about lorries. They fascinated him. But your father objects to the whole idea, Masklin said. That doesn't matter, said Angelo shortly. It's all right for you. You've been there. I want to see all these things. I want to go outside. I want to know if it's real. He hadn't been very good at reading, but he tried until his brain had hurt when the stationery found him some books with lorries on the front. Now, he probably knew more about them than any other gnome, which wasn't a lot, Masklin had to admit. He listened to Angelo muttering to himself as he struggled in the straps. Gear, he said, shift, steering wheel, wipers, auto transmission, breaker brake good, buddy, smoky, double egg and chips and beans, Yorkie bar, truckers. He looked up and smiled thinly at Masklin. Ready, he said. Now remember, said Masklin, they don't always leave the windows open, so if they're closed, one pull on the rope and we'll put it back up, okay? 10-4. What? It's lorry driver for yes, explained Angelo. Oh, fine. Now, when you're in, find somewhere to hide so that you can watch the driver. Yes, you explained it all before, said Angelo impatiently. Yes, well, have you got your sandwiches? Angelo patted the package at his waist. And my notebook, he said, ready to go. Put the pedal to the metal. What? It means go in lorry. Masklin looked puzzled. Do we have to know all this to drive one? Negatory, said Angelo proudly. Oh, well, so long as you understand yourself, that's the main thing. Dorcas, who was in charge of the rope detail, tapped Angelo on the shoulder. You sure you won't take the outside suit? He said hopefully. It was cone-shaped, made out of heavy cloth over a sort of umbrella frame of sticks so that it folded up and had a little window to look out of. Dorcas had insisted on building it to protect outside goers. After all, he said to Masklin, you might be used to the rain and wind and perhaps your heads are grown specially hard, but we can't be too careful. I don't think I need it, thank you, said Angelo politely. It's so heavy and I don't expect I'll go outside the lorry this trip. Good, said Masklin. Well, let's not hang about, except for you, Angelo. Ready to take the strain, lads? Over you go, Angelo, he said, and then, because it paid to be on the safe side, and you never knew, it might help, he added, and may Arnold Brothers establish 1905, watch over you. Angelo eased himself over the edge, and slowly became a small, spinning shape in the gloom as the team carefully let the thread out. Masklin prayed that they'd bought enough of it. There hadn't been time to come and measure. There was a desperate tugging on the thread. Masklin peered down. Angelo was a small shape a metre or so below him. If anything should happen to me, no one is to eat Bobo, he called up. Don't you worry, said Masklin, you're going to be all right. Yes, I know. But if I'm not, Bobo is to go to a good home. All right? Right you are. Good home. Yes. Where they don't eat rat. Promise? No rat eating. Fine. Understood, said Masklin. Angelo nodded. The gang started to pay out the thread again. And then Angelo was down and hurrying across the sloping roof to the side of the cab. It made Masklin dizzy just to look down at him. The figure disappeared. After a while came two tugs, meaning pay out more thread. They let it slip past gradually, and then there were three tugs. Faint, but, well, 3.
Night-night.
Night-night, Lizzie. Night-night. Sleep very well. Sorry. Masklin let out his breath in a whoosh. Angelo has landed, he said. Pull the thread back up. We'll leave it here in case, I mean for when he comes back. He risked another look at the forbidding bulk of the lorry. The lorries went out. The lorries came back. And it was the considered opinion of gnomes like Dorcas that they were the same lorries. They went out loaded with goods, and they came back loaded with goods. And why Arnold Brothers, established 1905, felt the need to let goods out for the day was beyond anyone's understanding. All that was known with any certainty was that they were always back within a day or two at the outside. Masklin looked down at the lorry, which now contained the Explorer. Where would it go? What would happen to it? What would Angelo see before he came back again? And if he didn't come back, what would Masklin tell his parents? That someone had to go, that he'd begged to go, that they had to see how a lorry was driven, that everything depended on him. Someone he knew that it wouldn't sound very convincing in these circumstances. Dorcas leaned over to him. It'll be a job and a half getting everyone down this way, he said. I know. I'll have to think of some better way. The inventor pointed down towards one of the other silent lorries. There's a little step there, he said, just by the driver's door. Look, if we could just get to that and get a rope over the handle. Masklin shook his head. It's too far up, he said. It's a small step for a man, but a giant leap for gnome kind.